Good afternoon. First in a wee while. I've been looking in to CEX, and there's been quite a bit. I think it was the last time I made a video. I had been in, and there someone had apparently traded in an SNES collection, SNES collection. There were quite a few SNES games of a certain kind. There was Super Castlevania 4, Super Metroid. I got Super Metroid. Was that the same time? It's around the same time anyway. There was Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Since then I've been in, and there was Simon's Quest, which I'd already bought previously, as well as the original Castlevania on the NES, Kirby's Adventure, a Kirby game on the NES, probably the first one. I seem to remember that being the first one being on NES, and today a bunch of other stuff, or maybe it was yesterday or another day that I went and saw the other stuff. Loads of stuff. I bought something very cheap and cheerful. F-Zero for the SNES. I played this on Virtual Console on the Wii originally, and I enjoyed it, but was kind of surprised, a bit gobsmacked that it's a nice condition. The label is the thing that I seem to care about the most now. These scuffs you get at the edges. I think it was that made me choose this over Super Ghouls and Ghosts, which was still there and which I'd like to play. I think I'm right in saying it's part of the Ghosts and Goblins series, and that appeals to me because I really like. I kind of like the idea, perhaps more than the gameplay of these. Well, no, I like the idea of these NES era action games, perhaps more so than the kind of the Super Nintendo and Sega Mega Drive games that kind of evolved out of them. So Ghosts and Goblins, Castlevania, maybe Ninja Gaiden, that sort of thing. Partly because I really like Zelda 2. I actually think its gameplay, its controls, I find it quite almost elegant. It feels good to play well, and I actually, as challenging as it is, I don't think it's jammy. Apart from, or Shan, unfair for those who don't know what I'm talking about. It feels good to play well. Apart from the getting hit and falling, the knockback thing, I don't actually find it overly unfair. Some enemies, I think the AI is, for some enemies, erratic enough to be almost impossible to respond to, I find. But despite that, in the last dungeon, the blue knights with the horse heads, the blue horse head knights, they're really bloody. They jump, they shoot projectiles. They're really hard to beat. I don't find that my experience playing it at that stage of the game is responding super well to how much I'm concentrating, how well I'm playing. Sometimes it just happens, sometimes it doesn't. But, I still find it fun, and I really like that game. The level of mystery around it, the level of just going through it without really knowing what's going on, I like about earlier games and games with less detail in them, which is why Castlevania 2 appeals to me, as frustrating as I assume it actually is to play. Anyway, I think I was in the middle of a sentence when I broke off for that. I played this on the Virtual Console, and that's right, got my thread back. I was surprised that not only mainly that it had no multiplayer option. I kind of wondered to myself, is this just a bizarre omission from the Virtual Console version? But I'm pretty sure that's not the case, couldn't imagine why that would be true. This really is in pretty darn good condition. That always makes me suspicious now. The only thing that, I mean, why would someone fake a game like this? This was £6. No one's going to be, you can't make money out of that, you know? Anyway, just makes me paranoid these days. Oh yeah, although I suppose the thing would be the pressed, the imprinted number, that 12 there. That's the telltale sign on Game Boy Advance games of their legitimacy. On the front label, I don't know that there's such an imprint on the front label for Super Nintendo, but there's one there on the back. Anyway, yeah, so maybe a bit of a limited game in terms of its fun, because there's only a few tracks as well. So don't know, but it was kind of, I've not bought anything for a while, and I was in a bit of a, I was in the mood to to do so today, and this was pretty cheap. All the games that I could have bought, I chose that because there were loads of games on the more expensive. Well, there was like Skies of Arcadia for the GameCube, which I've never played, but always appealed to me at the time because it was sort of Japanese RPG type thing. It was like £35. So, I mean, putting it in perspective, that's the price it was when it came out. So, it's really not that bad. But it's when you have to choose between, well, you only have so much money to spend on these things. At least that's supposed to be the case. It's supposed to be true. Skies of Arcadia at 35. Animal Crossing for the GameCube, a PAL version, which I kind of forgot. I forgot that actually did come out. I think in a previous video I talked about it as if it only ever came out in the States. But yeah, I do kind of remember that now. I've been playing Animal Crossing Wild World. I have been playing it pretty regularly. Not going wild with it, and actually, wild. Not going, over the top in terms of time spent playing it, but it's actually been really relaxing. I've been enjoying it. But knowing that I could, seeing that for sale on the GameCube, I thought maybe this would be, even though it's not a thing I have played, maybe this would be more satisfying even in terms of I don't want to say true experience. I suppose true in the sense of original and kind of tracing things back, which is part of the thing I'm pursuing with this. If that's the case, then it's pursuing it back before my time, certainly. Either because the games came out before then, or it was before I knew about them. Anyway, that was like 40 quid. Paper Mario 2000 Year Door, there were 2 copies of that, which is kind of weird. I mean, that's a game that I've actually seen in shops quite a bit. But it's gone up in price. I remember when I first saw it was, I think, £55. And at that point I was like, what? That's so expensive. And it's now £70, and they've got 2 of them. And I know that their pricing is a little bit more mysterious than sort of their internal supply and demand. So, they're having more copies wouldn't actually, they're having more copies that they weren't selling wouldn't actually give them a reason based on their kind of policy to reduce the price. But it does make you wonder. There were 2 of those. What else was there? There was a bunch of other stuff. Castlevania 1, which I mentioned, which I really wanted to get, but because it's a game I wanted to play. It was £25. No, it was 28. So, happy not to spend that money. But the label was all funny. It was like really dark looking, the whole thing. But I don't know. I kind of can't imagine someone reprinting a label for an otherwise legitimate NES game. It just seems a little bit less plausible than, reprinting a label that goes, say, inside a GameCube, PS2, PS1 box, because that's just a paper rather than a sticker. What else is there? There's a bunch of stuff that would have been nice, but was just on the much more expensive end of the scale. Thousand Year Door I would really like. I talked about a while ago. My house was burgled once upon a time, and loads of my game stuff was stolen. And one of the things that was stolen, which I was in the middle of playing, was right at the end of playing, was the Thousand Year Door. I think I'd collected I assume it's 7 stars, it's usually 7. I think I'd collected all 7 stars and was going to go through the door, presumably to the last dungeon. But I never got there. In fact, I'd taken a break from the game. This makes it sound like a career. I hadn't played it for a while at that stage. So it's possible, I was pretty out of the loop of it, but it's a game I only ever played through once, even to that stage. But I loved it. I really enjoyed it a lot, just to play, and I would really like to play it. So it's kind of frustrating that it's such an expensive game to buy when you only really want something for having it, if that's ever true, in terms of that being the only reason, then it's kind of easier to maybe it's a bit easier to make peace with it, because the reasons you have for wanting it are it's kind of vanity, or it's coveting. And I suppose that's maybe more directly linked to value, perhaps perversely. So if all you want to do is enjoy using a thing, it might seem more frustrating that you have to spend a lot of money on it. I say that might be a bit perverse, because actually surely we should be happier to spend more money on things that give us more value in a more defensible sense. What we do with them, that should be more important and more valuable than just possession. And I'm not staging a takedown of collecting or anything like that. I'm just sort of thinking through it in my head. It is more frustrating that it's that price, because I just want to play it. And I would buy it if it were, I would want it even if it weren't valuable. I suppose that's the thing. But then maybe the impatience wouldn't be there. Anyway, talking shite now. Yes, so I chose to spend very little money instead. But yeah, later this year perhaps I might splash out on a couple of things. We'll see. I might be being a little bit optimistic about how the year's shaping up finance-wise, but that's one thing that I'd like to spend a little money on. Not too much, because, yeah, could go mad with it. Anyway, yep.